Hey guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. We are the Mile High Property Brothers. Today, getting right into it, we're talking about the top reasons people are moving to Denver. We've done something like this before.
Yep.
These are your new top reasons, and a lot of these even I wasn't thinking of. Once we researched a couple of things, I was like, that makes sense.
Right.
Either way, let's get right into it with number one.
To preface this a little bit more before we dive right into number one, this is direct data that we get from our Zoom calls that we have with our clients.
Correct.
We meet with people every single day, and one of the first questions we ask is, where are you at and what's bringing you to Colorado?
Correct.
So using those reasons, that's what we use to compile this list for you. So I'm sure you guys can relate with a lot of these. So let's start off with just the overall quality of life. And believe it or not, this is the number one thing people tell us when they're coming out here. It's usually not a job that's bringing them out here. They're getting a job out here, but they're literally
Or
just
they work remote.
No, or they work remote, but they're literally just coming to Colorado typically because they have a friend or family member out here. They came on vacation one time and they couldn't stop thinking about it.
Correct. And I feel like when people talk about quality of life, it's almost, let me pull the cop out thing. Like when I was a cop and you pull someone over for careless driving, it's like,
Sure.
What's careless driving? It's everything, but it can also be one thing. It's however you articulate how someone was being careless.
I knew it.
Yeah, he got a couple tickets. It pretty much is just how the officer articulates what careless is and if it
Sure.
makes sense. And when people talk about quality of life, it's like, what does that mean? It means everything, but it can also just maybe mean one thing for them that was really important. Either way, we're gonna kind of dive into some specifics. All of these tie into the quality of life that people appreciate, but it's just so open-ended, right? As we go down through this roster, you guys will see like how it all starts to make sense.
We'll call this the sub points, the bullet points under quality of life here. One of the primary reasons that we see a lot of people moving here, probably the number one reason, maybe number one complaint about where people live is just the weather. You know, it can either be so cold all of the time if you're coming from some Midwest places, or if you're coming from a lot of places a lot of our clients do, like Texas and California and Florida, it's just too dang hot all the time.
Really hot. And California is beautiful, but if you're not close to the water, if you're not San Diego, like the climate there still gets really hot, especially like if you get a little bit more east away and you're a little bit more toward the mountains, the desert. It's extremely hot, but you also lack in these areas that are super hot, you lack seasons. And what's great about Colorado is when it's hot, it's not too hot. We've also got a dry climate here, so it's not overly humid. So you're not just walking around drenched all the time. We have one of the most beautiful falls, period.
Yes.
Springtime is also amazing, especially like around Easter. And then when you get into winter, we have a full winter and it's amazing. But because we have more sunny days in Florida and a lot of other states, almost all states, it's gone in 2 days. So even though you get that snowy Christmas and whatever it may be, and you enjoy the cold and you enjoy the snow and you go up to the mountains and you're snowboarding, but in this Denver metro area, like it doesn't just snow and then stay. And that's what people really like is, hey, we want 4 seasons, or we want hot, but we don't always want it hot. Or hey, we want the winter, but a lot of places like you go to the Midwest or you go to Michigan, once it snows, like it's there and that's it, especially compared to Colorado. Like we guys would be surprised how sunny, how nice, how many times you might get 48 to 64 degrees throughout the winter.
That leads to usability year round, right? Like there's a lot of states. We were talking to a guy earlier this week out in Arizona and he was like, man, we can go outside like 3 months out of the year. We can go outside 3 months out of the year. The rest of the year, he's like,
I see what you're saying.
We're locked inside. And he was like, you know, we have 4 kids. They're inside on screens all day because it's just too hot to go out and do anything. We were talking to a guy yesterday out in Vegas and he's like, man, it'll be 108 degrees at 7 o'clock at night. It's nuts. Can do it.
We're in Vegas on Monday. So by the time you guys see this, we'll already be back.
Yes,
from
we
Vegas.
will.
We've got some really cool stuff where we're partnering with some other real estate guys and just continuing our education as far as helping real estates around the country do what we do.
Yep.
But it's August and we're in Vegas. I don't even want to say Vegas because it's outside of Vegas where we're at with his office. Nevada.
There we go.
In the middle of August.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be, it'll help me with my weight loss journey.
That's right. That's right. Now, what does that mean when you have a state that's usable year round? That means you have activities to take advantage of. That means you have cultural events like art festivals and just all these things and farmers markets that are happening literally all year round.
Correct. And you have different things to do, right? Like you're not going to snowboard in Colorado year round.
No.
You're just not, but you're doing that in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, I guess what most people think or don't think of is how many things we're going to do in the mountains spring and summer. Mountain biking trails, White River water rafting. That's all.
No, white water river rafting.
White River.
No, white water.
No, I'm Indian. I'm Native American.
Okay, white water. Oh, there you go, white water.
From White Feather. Whatever you like.
White water is correct. Yeah, white water.
That's what it is. But either way, like there's just so many fun things. So you're using the mountains for several different things. And I feel like when you're in a hot climate and it's always nice out and you can always go to the beach, which is amazing, but it's also very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Here's just so many more things that you can do.
For those of you guys that don't know, you can go to the ski resorts in the middle of the summertime and you can just ride the lift. You can ride the lift all the way up and ride it all the way down and literally have the best views that you can find in the entire state.
You can mountain bike all over those trails.
can
trails.
slap your mountain bike on the back of the lift, take that all the way up and just ride it down. That's like my type of riding, like just the fun part, just down.
And if you haven't been white water,
there we go. Yep.
river rafting,
Yep.
it's really fun.
It's a blast.
It's a good time.
It is a blast. Definitely family friendly. Anyone can do it. Watch the water levels. They'll give you advice on how to do that.
Water's still plenty cold in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
So like you
Oh,
fall in, it's definitely refreshing.
But plenty of stuff to do. And again, you don't need to be an expert skier or snowboarder to come out here. People just go on walks and hikes, and very, very biking friendly community as well. You know, on any given Sunday morning, you'll see just slews of bikers that are on the road. What I do like about Colorado is that there's dedicated bike lanes, there's dedicated bike trails. So it's not like some states where it's like you're driving behind the guy.
Very bike.
It's nice.
We all know bikes bother us sometimes. We all know that bike in traffic and not using the bike lane and all good. But with how active everybody is in Colorado,
Yes.
it just means that our infrastructure and the way they accommodate that's also very up to date. That's why you have some of these things that maybe some states don't.
And while we're talking sports and activities, one more point I want to bring up is the amazing golf scene and golf culture that they have out here. Neither Will and I play golf, but I can appreciate it. We've got some clients that are purchasing a home up in Berthoud where there is one of 5 TPC golf courses up there. Apparently, for those of you guys who don't know, TPC is approved golf courses where they can hold like the Masters or something like that, or Pro Tours.
We don't play golf, but we do
don't.
play YouTube, and we do remind you that we are licensed brokers
That's
here in the
right.
state of Colorado. And just as much as we love making these videos, we love more to help you with those real estate needs. So the number is popping in below. We are the guys trying to the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if there's anything we can help you guys with your real estate needs, we would love to. That being said, that's why we're not playing golf. We're out with clients helping you guys get to where you need to go.
All right, point number 2, guys, the central location.
And we suck at golf.
And we suck at golf. All right, point number 2, guys, just the overall central location of the state and our international airport.
Correct. I'm going to pull up a roster for you guys because I can't remember how many we have, but I've looked it up when we talk about Denver International Airport and how many countries DIA flies to direct.
Yep, let's hear it.
We've got, it doesn't want to cooperate with me. Come on. Here we go. I got it.
Yep.
In no particular order, I guess, but this is everywhere that DIA goes, and this is direct. Canada, Costa Rica, France, Germany, Iceland, Jamaica, Japan, Mexico, Panama, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Bahamas, Belize, Cayman Islands, Ireland, Puerto Rico, Honduras. This is what Google says DIA goes to direct. There's a couple of these that are a little bit far, but talks about direct flights out of DIA. And I do know that Ireland is one of the newer ones that they've had.
And Hawaii, too.
And Hawaii that they're not showing we have direct flights to. So when it comes to like international airport, they don't call it international airport because it flies to Mexico or it flies to Canada, and then technically you can call it international. It is literally an active international airport where you guys can pretty much get anywhere that you want to go without connecting flights. And a lot of folks, when they first move here, it's like, and when you live in New York, if you live in Chicago, if you live on the East Coast or you live on the West Coast, you can get overseas and you can get a lot of places from those airports. A lot of folks think that when you move inland, that you're not going to have the same luxury. And they would be correct, unless we're speaking about the biggest airport in the country. DIA.
Is it really?
I think so. It's not going to be a problem for you. You will be able to make those direct flights.
Being centrally located also means that if you are a remote worker, there's a good chance. We just had a client again this week where she used to live in New York, now lives in California, but she still works on New York time. It's real difficult when you're doing either super, super early calls or super, super late calls. We've had a significant amount of people come here, and one of the big things that they're mentioning is like, man, it's going to be nice being centrally located because whether you're working on East Coast or West Coast time, you're right in the middle. So it's
like, for example, right now we're an hour ahead of California on the West Coast. We're 2 hours behind the East Coast. You don't have to get up too early, and you definitely don't have to work too late to accommodate both. So definitely a great point. Something that you might not think of, but it does matter, especially for folks that remote.
Let's dive into something we haven't talked a lot about, but that's a lot of the higher education opportunities that are here.
And we've always talked, not always, but a lot of times we've talked about your kindergartens, junior highs for you youngsters, middle school and high schools, and Cherry Creek School District 5 and all the education that's here. We've covered it a ton, especially specific to neighborhoods and how well Colorado has come as far as its just overall education compared to the rest of the country and where it's graded. What we haven't mentioned too much is higher level education. So all the universities that we have in Colorado and where they rank and how proficient they are, one of them being Boulder University. So CU Boulder, one of the best business schools in the country. A lot of you know we've got Deion Sanders as our head football coach, and I don't like football. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal when it comes to the attention and the influx that school's already gotten. I think it brought in over $100 million last year, and what they're already expanding on and able to do because of the football program is incredible. So you're taking a great school and it's getting even better. This is just one example, but it's one of the best business schools in the country.
You've got CU in Boulder, you've got CU in Denver, you've got CSU down in Colorado Springs, another big
Fort
one.
Collins.
or Fort Collins.
CSU is Fort Collins.
What's one of the Springs?
Force Academy.
Air Force Academy. I didn't go to college, that's why I don't know what these are at. But then you've also got
a drummer in a rock band, all right? He's extremely smart. He's like the guy from Napster.
You've also, I wish. No, actually, I don't wish. I don't want to be that guy. You've also got Colorado School of Mines in Golden. That is a very, very, very smart school. It is an engineering school.
Yep.
Also very desirable.
Everyone knows School of Mines,
yeah.
Colorado School of Mines, but you've also got Metro State University, which is downtown, and you've also got CU Denver. So you've got an extension of CU Boulder in Denver, and you've got University Hospital at the Anschutz campus.
And UNC, which is in Greeley, University of Northern Colorado, which they're known for their medical programs specifically.
Correct. And just with University Hospital at our Anschutz facility, whether it's medical, business, tech, like everything is just continuing to expand in Colorado, which is amazing. So if you guys are moving to Colorado, or you're considering moving to Colorado, and you've got kids in high school, you've got kids that are in junior high, whatever it may be, and you're curious about what their higher education looks like, well, in-state tuition and commute from home, if they're going to stay at home while they go to college or whatever it may be, a lot more doable than you think, and they're getting a great education at the same time.
Let's look at Colorado compared to a lot of other major cities, right? The video we just did last week was specifically on cost of living in Colorado, where we did some specific comparisons. So we won't get too into the nitty gritty, but a big reason a lot of people are moving here is because they've just been priced out of the place that they live. They look at Colorado and they're like, man, it checks all these other boxes that we just mentioned. And, you know, for $1 million or 1.5, you can get this amazing house that you'd be paying $3 million for in California.
And again, it's the bang for buck. It's the 4 seasons that you get. It's all the activities that you have. It's the universities that you have. It's the workability that you have. It's all of it. And some of you are thinking like, wait, people get priced out of where they're at, so they come to Colorado. I thought Colorado was expensive. It is a little bit more expensive here when you look at the rest of the country. And the way that we describe it is Colorado, or like the Denver Metro to be specific, right, on average is 30% higher than the average across the country, but we're 30% less in California. So if you guys can just kind of picture where you think California is, we're 30% more affordable than California, but 30% higher than the average across the country.
Yes.
So right in that middle, when you guys think about bang for buck and lifestyle, what you guys have to offer, what you have to offer for yourself, in addition to some of the other videos we've done, bang for buck with size of homes, size of lots, like you guys can be inner city, Wash Park, and downtown all the way through 5 acres in Elizabeth. And that's still within 40 minutes of Denver. So the type of life that you get or options that you have with the affordability is so hard to beat.
It's true. It's true. You know, another thing that people often mention with Colorado is just the cultural diversity out here and the diversity of views, right? Like one thing we love about Colorado is that it's a true melting pot. We won't get political or anything, but you don't have so much swinging one way or so much swinging the other way. It is truly diverse. Anybody, regardless of where you sit on whatever sort of spectrum, you know, you can come here and fit in. And
no one's bothering anybody. When we talk about the riots we had here, like it was not even close to as extreme as some of these other bigger cities that you have. And people have their opinions out here. People have their views, whether it's politically to the left or to the right or in the middle, whatever it may be. But people don't get so extreme that it really inhibits or just bothers other folks per se. And we have had riots like every other city. And obviously a couple of years ago, things were just not so good across the country. But we were definitely not one of the ones that was higher on the spectrum as far as like just overall reaction, or people are afraid to live here because if they live here, they feel like it's too far right, or they feel like, oh, well, or like the rumors about California, oh, it's so far left, I could never live there. You don't really have one or the other when it comes to when people are thinking about living in Denver. You hear about a lot of tech, right? You hear a lot about tech companies, you hear about the outdoors, you hear about things that you can do, but there's just not one or the other that's so far either way.
It's true. And that brings us to our other point, and that's just the kind and welcoming culture that Coloradans tend to have. For example,
hi, Eli.
Hey there, Will.
People will do that here. As you guys see us, I always do like that nod test when we're outside doing video, or I'll wave to someone and they wave back. And it's a true example of people hold doors here for the most part. If you say hello to someone, they say hello back. If you're walking in the gym, you say good morning, someone's going to say good morning to you.
Yes.
Colorado, I feel like no matter where people have come from, like for example, let's talk about California. You might hear people say like, oh, well, as long as no Californians are moving here, you know, and it's like, well, the Californians that are moving here for whatever reason are just not in a good position with what they like about California anymore. They're moving here for a reason. Would you even know that they're California? Because they're not the stereotypical ones that you're thinking of, and even if you have a grasp on what they should be. But the point is, I think Colorado's got such a nice feel, and people are so polite that regardless of where you come from, you tend to just put your guard down a little bit and realize how kind people are here. And I think it influences others that are new here to also be kind. And maybe they're not used to it saying hi or whatever. Maybe once you get here, you start becoming accustomed to more friendship.
Yes, and guys, that's something, we're not just making that up. We hear that from almost every single client when they're here looking at homes. When we're checking in with them a few months after they've moved into their home and they've gotten settled in, everyone just consistently is like, man, everyone is so nice here.
And I like that. I like to be able to say good morning if I'm walking into the gym or whatever it may be, and someone says, oh, hey, good morning. And it's nice. Versus we've traveled, whether we're training agents across the country or it's vacation, like you go to certain places, I won't name them, Florida, and they're just not nice. You know what I mean? Like they'll just, you say hi to someone and it's almost like they're taken back, like they don't even like I don't know you. It's like, I know you don't know me. I'm just saying hello because we made eye contact. I don't know. I'm on a tangent.
I think this comes down to, another thing that we say about Colorado a lot is that it's just big enough, but it's also just small enough.
Yeah.
Right? In the sense of you do kind of have that small town feel to where it's not unusual for someone to say hi and hold the door open or strike up a conversation with the person checking you out at 7-Eleven or the grocery store. Like that is very, very common around here. And if you're not that type of person or you're not used to it, you will be pleasantly surprised when you come here and you'll turn into that type of
probably reduce your own just anxiety levels or stress that you maybe don't even know you're carrying around. Yes. When you can just be a little bit more friendly with folks because they're friendly.
Now let's dive into the traffic a little bit because this is also another point that we hear from clients all of the time. This is what allows you to live in Castle Rock and have a 30 to 40 minute drive to downtown Denver. It doesn't turn into this 2-hour escapade where you're just sitting in gridlock traffic the whole time.
We'll put a map over the screen right now just so you guys can see the heart of Denver, and we'll draw a line directly south on I-25 and you guys can see the heart of Castle Rock. That's how far apart they are, just to give you guys some perspective on a bird's eye view. Yet that's a 34-minute. And that's even during like late afternoons. Average speed limit on the highways during rush hour times is like 36 miles an hour or 43 miles an hour, which means you're going to have some spots that slow down to about 15 miles an hour. But it's literally for like 1 or 2 exits. And then lanes expand, or a lot of people are getting off the highway into another direction and it opens right back up. And we talk about this all the time. There are 100 different ways to get downtown from wherever you're coming. So a lot of folks tend to just not rely on the highway for where they have to go, which just keeps things fluid and flowing and clear so you can go that far within 34 minutes. And it's just nice. It's nice to have it because you guys can have a lot of freedom as far as where you want to live and the lifestyle you want to live without being too concerned that you can't get to where you're going.
Yeah, if you draw a 45-minute radius from Denver going 45 minutes out, you're hitting all of the metro cities with the exception of Colorado Springs.
Correct.
Right? Colorado Springs kind of sits in its own little bubble down there, but I don't know any other major city where you can go and you can live in all the most popular surrounding metro cities within an hour of downtown.
The only thing outside of like that is going to be like your Lovelands and Fort Collins. Amazing places to go, and a lot of folks like to commute there for the weekends, but not necessarily live because it is a little bit too far. But you have every option. Inner city Denver, like we talked about, big lots and big bungalow homes, and you live by Wash Park, or you've got Cherry Creek North, or you've got Elizabeth, Southeast Aurora, Highlands Ranch, whatever it may be. So many options, and your commute is still good.
That's right. Now, let's talk a little bit more. This ties into quality of life a little bit, but Will and I, we hardly ever go on vacations, right? But there's not a real reason to.
There's plenty of fun things to do in Colorado.
God, there is, right? Like you can go to Estes Park, which is an hour away from like Aurora Park.
Yeah, hour and 5 minutes. Maybe. And like for us, we've got 3 kids. We've got 14, 5, and 1.5. They're in sports, so we're busy with that. And we've got a 1.5-year-old. We don't want to hop on a plane and be that parent per se. Not that we would be, but I get nervous of that. But we can have these little weekend trips, these little day trips, these little weekend trips. And it's nice when kiddos are younger and you don't want to travel too far to go somewhere. But within an hour, you can enjoy, for example, for 4th of July, we were up at Estes Park Lake, had a huge cabin that was up there. We were on the water. The kiddos were enjoying the fireworks. Peaceful, quiet, a lot of fun.
Feels like you're on vacation.
And you're in Estes freaking Park. And we got there in an hour, right? So it's just really nice. And because you've got so many things to do across the entire Rocky Mountains, Estes Park was not too overflowed during 4th of July because there's 1,000 other places in the mountains that people want to go to, whether it be Aspen and Breckenridge, whatever it may be. There's not just one spot that you go to for that. So just really nice. And we like catching our breath and not being overwhelmed with traveling with little kiddos right now and having to travel back. You can go somewhere and get lost for a weekend, come back, recharge.
Yeah, you just don't need to, right?
There's so much to do here, guys.
Yeah, and if you're willing to go, let's say 4 hours, man, now you're hitting Aspen, you're hitting Crested Butte, you're hitting these places that are literally
Telluride
international destinations.
You guys want to have some fun there? Telluride during the fall or the winter for ice skating and all that?
There's people from Europe that fly here just to go to Aspen, just to go to Crested Butte for music festivals. Like there's so many places that people go way out of their way to go to that are just within 4 hours of your home.
100%. And just to give you guys an example of like Estes Park, you guys remember the movie Dumb and Dumber? We've thrown it in all sorts of our videos. We've got all the one-liners, and they were in Aspen, right?
They were.
That movie was filmed in Estes Park.
That's right.
This is the Hotel Danbury Presidential Suite, gentlemen. Normally reserved for royalty.
At the Stanley Hotel. So even though we're talking about beautiful, amazing Aspen, the rest of the Rocky Mountains are also beautiful in the sense of like they filmed Aspen in Estes Park. So a lot of really cool stuff. But again, because it's so big, you've got so many different things, so many people are doing different things. Nothing's overly crowded for one day or whatever maybe.
Yes, yes. Now, moving forward, the art and cultural music scene that you're going to have out here. It's huge, guys. It's growing. You know, we've got Red Rocks out here, which again is like an international destination for a lot of people. The #1 music venue in the world.
So cool. From techno
Super
to
cool.
Gojira to country music to
Grateful Dead.
K-pop to
Yeah,
Grateful
yeah.
Dead to comedy. You've got
Yeah.
Bill Burr that's come out before. A lot of folks have come out to it. It's really nice, especially in the fall. And I know during the summer and during the fall, they do movie nights at Red Rocks
right.
as well. So I think it's every Tuesday and Thursday. They'll pick like movies from the 90s and go up there for a couple of bucks, sit outside and enjoy like a nice movie at Red Rocks as well. It's not just concerts.
Or you can go there Saturday morning,
And
like
work
6
out.
a.m. They have yoga on the rocks in the summer. And I mean, that whole stadium would be full of yoga mats. And it's so beautiful the way they time it. Halfway through the yoga session, you see the sun coming up over the city skyline of Denver that you see down the way.
Never seen it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yoga's just
It's
hard.
beautiful.
I don't know if yoga gets along with me. I just don't know. I don't know. It seems amazing. Like I want to be that.
Yeah,
guy,
right.
And all jokes aside, there's so many beautiful things that you guys can do. And just speaking of Red Rocks, you're 30 minutes away from it. Like it's right rested up. It's in Morrison. So it's just before you really start getting into the mountains. We call it the foothills. You're rested right there. It's more accessible than you think.
Now, finally, let's talk about job opportunities. Now, it is really starting to boom here in Denver. And again, you're seeing a lot of people come from states that maybe aren't as business friendly, where they have insane taxes, and they're moving their companies or their startups here to Colorado.
Correct. And we're hiring.
That's right. That's right.
We're hiring buyers and sellers
That's
because
right.
we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And just as much as we love making these videos, we love more to help with those real estate needs.
That's right.
Something that's popping up below. We are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if we can help you, we would love to. But with that being said, you guys enjoy these points, explore on your own, watch some of the videos, check out our app if you guys have any questions on specific areas and homes
Yes.
and what they look like in those specific areas. But until next week, we'll see you guys very soon.
See you guys.